Spring ball is absolutely rolling in South Bend, Indiana. All eyes are on the quarterback competition. You got Steve Angeli, you got CJ Carr, you got Kenny Minchey. We're going to do a little intel update as it pertains to specifically the quarterback battle for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Before we do that, though, Notre Dame fans, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, baby. Talking college football, nothing but college football all year round. If you want us to talk more about your Irish, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate y'all in advance for doing that. So what I'm hearing out of South Bend as of right now is that Steve Angeli is treating it right now like it's his job. That's something that you would hope is being said around a quarterback that's been around as long as Steve Angeli has. But the intel that goes along with that is Steve Angeli is carrying himself like the starting quarterback. He's leading guys from drill to drill during spring practice. He's kind of the vocal presence, it feels like, out there, which I think is crucial, especially at a place like Notre Dame. But just in addition to this, my thought is that if it's his job until he loses it, I think that would require someone to actually come and take it. Because, I mean, full transparency, I don't think Steve Angeli is going to just shoot himself in the foot along this battle and give this job away to one of these other contenders. Like, I think CJ Carr will have to boss up and take it. Kenny Minchey have to boss up and take it. Because Steve Angeli, I think he's so refined within this Mike Denbrock offense. I think he's so refined just as a college quarterback. The way you lose a job is by doing dumb stuff. I would be wildly surprised if we go over to blueandgold.com and we check the practice report and we see that Steve Angeli threw 4 picks. Like, that's not going to happen from what I can gather. I think he's going to be a guy that does what's asked of him. I think he knows the system. I think that what we saw from him a season ago in the Penn State game, the way that he showed nerves of absolute steel in that drive, dude, that told me a lot about how he's wired and what you're getting in a Steve Angeli, in addition to what you saw from him in the Sun Bowl the year before that. So you got Steve Angeli. You also have CJ Carr. Now, the intel around CJ Carr is he may have the highest ceiling of this group. The way that I think about it, CJ Carr is your horsepower option. He's the guy to where if he has all the light bulbs come on and he can operate from an efficiency standpoint to the same effect that Steve Angeli can, and you're not worried about him making maybe those young quarterback mistakes, then he may give you the best option to go score a bunch of points, and he might be your quarterback one. I think that's very, very possible. But when you talk about a guy having a high ceiling and horsepower and all those things, that's awesome. But the question is, how much of that can we harness? Cool, you're maybe the best professional prospect on this roster. But if that's at the quarterback position. But if that's the case, tools and potential are only as good as what you can give me against Texas A&M, against Miami. Because those 2 games now for Notre Dame, it's no secret, that's going to plot their college football playoff course. So the tough part with me around CJ Carr, and the thing I'm curious to keep a pulse on as we move along throughout this battle, is how bright are those lights on upstairs for him? That's not me questioning his acumen. That's me just saying you're up against a guy who, I mean, that's what he brings to the table. He is the more polished, more refined of this group. So CJ Carr will absolutely factor in. I think he will have to go and take it from a Steve Angeli, especially because of how Notre Dame starts the year. That's something to really keep a pulse on. Now, Kenny Minchey is someone that you don't hear maybe as much buzz about, and not because he's not a dude. There's just so much there with CJ Carr, what he was as a recruit and what Steve Angeli was as a guy you've seen in-game for Notre Dame. So buzz in terms of what's being said about them does not mean that Kenny Minchey won't still factor in. Like CJ Carr and Steve Angeli are both, the guys that probably get the most headline traction, but I think Kenny Minchey and what he is with his legs for this Notre Dame offense should not be overlooked. Like I've said before, I think if he doesn't win the job, I'm not saying he can't, if he doesn't win the job, I still think he needs to play. Why? Because Riley Leonard had 900 yards for you on the ground a season ago. You're going to just surrender that and say, okay, Jeremiah Love will make that up. Okay, we'll allow a running back to make that up. I don't think so, man. I think with what that was for you in your scheme, you would be – now Mike Denbrock knows more than me about offensive football, but I think you'd be foolish to not at least think about including that on a week-to-week basis, at least carrying it for short yardage or as a changeup or however you want to factor that in here. Now, the reason why this quarterback battle is so important for Notre Dame, and I think, quite frankly, the rest of college football, Notre Dame has everything else in place, from what I can gather, to go run it back, make the college football playoff, go on a run, maybe finish the deal this year. Defense, I don't think anyone's questioning that in South Bend. New DC, but the talent is tremendous on that side of the football. They're good enough to go get it done. The skill players, you got Greathouse, you got Faison, Jeremiah Love, a couple of transfers now that they feel great about as well internally. From a Will Pauling to Malachi Fields, they think both those dudes are going to be studs for them next year. Some more firepower downfield potentially. I mean, you got a head coach, Marcus Freeman, who's proven what he is. The offensive line, you got dudes transferring out of Notre Dame because they say, I'm not going to be able to play here next season. Guys that played last year for Notre Dame are having to transfer out because they see the writing on the wall, from what I can gather. Again, just assuming here. Mike Denbrock, arguably the best OC in college football. That's a pure OC. I know Steve Sarkisian has his hat in the ring. It's definitely the case. I mean, Lane Kiffin, of course, but pure play caller, pure offensive coordinator. What Mike Denbrock did a season ago, that was as impressive as I think any other job across America in 2024. So it's all there for Notre Dame. Do you have a quarterback that can activate the entirety of this offense, the entirety of this roster, and put you in a spot where you go pick up where you left off a season ago? It'll look different. It will not be the Riley Leonard ground and pound. It'll be a lot more push the ball downfield. It'll be a lot more, a score. I would have to believe, maybe not score, but maybe have more production through the air because of your weapons. And I think Notre Dame can do it. How it looks will be different, but I think they can do it. And so that's kind of the update around Notre Dame when it comes to the quarterback battle. Steve Angeli, treating like it's his job. CJ Carr, highest ceiling. Kenny Minchey, most athletic, will definitely play a role. He might be the dark horse in this whole thing, but I'm really curious to see the Kenny Minchey scrimmage intel once we get there. But keep it locked right here. We'll keep talking Notre Dame as long as y'all want to hear about it. Let us know you want to hear about it by subscribing. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.